Okay, so we are now live. We're actually being recorded. It's a private recording, Nestor, so unless you're comfortable with it and I'll let you show it first, then it'll just be for you. If not, we might turn it into some sort of a marketing tool or marketing piece for BNI or for BusinessWhitt, or if you feel like you would benefit from it from the MechanicOC. All right. So BusinessWhitt, this is our Winning Your Entrepreneurial Experience series, and we're really streaming this live once a week or on a frequency basis that we haven't quite figured out to be able to provide some value to the marketplace. And the reason is that there's a lot of people that were affected by the Great Recession. There's a lot of people that have been affected by outsourcing. They've gone out to start their own business. I read an article just the other day, since the last time we talked. There are 53 million freelance contract workers in the United States. These are all people that have, started to start their own business or start their own thing, because they got bumped out of the corporate world or bumped out of their other job. And the reality is that they need all the help. It's not so much help. They need all the information and knowledge that they can get to be successful. And so this Winning Your Entrepreneurial Experience series will deal with different topics. Today we're going to deal with resales and referrals. But this allows people to kind of get this in small half-hour bites to try and understand maybe some different concepts and principles and to apply them to their particular business. All right. So in the resales and referrals, the first thing I wanted to share with, and I'm going to go over this because we did this last time. Guy by the name of David Gleischer, and if you think about resales and referrals or sales itself, it's a behavioral change process. We're asking somebody to do something for us, right? Instead of doing what they want, or instead of doing something else, we want them to do something for us. We would like them to refer us to their friends and neighbors and acquaintances, or we would like them to purchase some additional products and services, right? And that's a behavioral change. When you're working with your kids and you're trying to get them to do the dishes, that's a behavioral change too. They're all the same, but they're just different avenues that we use. And David Gleischer, back in the 60s, clinical psychologist, put together his formula for change. There were a couple other guys, but in this particular case, I'll put his name up here. Can you see that okay?
It's a little blurry.
Is it a little blurry? Is it just?
Yeah.
Does it need to be bigger?
It needs to be more less pixelized. I can read like your banner on the right. It says business coaching. It's really clear.
Yeah.
A little bit under those smaller words I can't read.
These down here.
Focal point, coaching, excellence. I can't read that.
Okay, and I think that has to do with size and depth, and this is part of the practice activity that we're going through here. We'll cut this before we get to the final video, but I have to learn how big to write, and so when I used my flip chart, I can put it a lot closer and get it a lot tighter, but it wiggles around.
Yeah.
So here, let's just pull that out real quick. I like the flip chart to some extent because...
Oh yeah, way brighter.
Yeah? Okay, so let me do a little like that. Are you seeing the whole board there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because on the dry erase board, I could barely see the words because the marker isn't bright enough.
Okay. All right. So we're going to come back here, and what this means is I get to use a whole different set of crayons. I don't have to use dry erase crayons. Okay. So let's go back over here again. So this is readable then, right?
Yes.
Right? So you can Google David Gleischer and this will come up. And back in the 60s, he was the first guy to kind of codify what behavioral change was really all about. Since then, literally thousands of books have been written about change and change management. And they've changed the names and the concept, but the concepts always stay the same, right? So the first thing that we have to understand in this formula, so it's the formula for change, right? The first thing that we have to understand is this side of the formula, right? That R stands for resistance. right? And everybody is resistant to change. Why is that?
Because they're used to something. It's easier not to resist.
It's easier to resist. It's easier to do it the way you've always done it. It's easier to do it the way you know how to do it. So change takes energy, time, costs money, effort. All of those kinds of things are a part of why people are not a big fan of change. Yet people still do it, right? And I'm going to adjust my camera up a little bit because it's cutting the top of my head off. Yeah, I almost got the hull of my head here, right? So the key is, but people still do change, and the reason they change is because what's sitting on this side of the formula, right? And so the first thing that sits on this side of the formula is dissatisfaction, right? So if you're not happy with something today, then you might be willing to change, right? Make some sense?
Yes.
You can't change, though, just by being unhappy, right? You have to know, what you would like to change to. Right? So you have to have a projection, a new place, a transformation place you'd like to go to move to your happy place, right? So the V stands for vision. So you have to have a goal or something to change to, or else it really wouldn't work out, right? And then the last one, the F stands for first steps, right? So we have to know how to go about it, right? If we don't know how to go about it, we can't change, right? Now, if we don't know how to go about it, or if going about it is real hard, or it takes a lot of energy, or it takes a lot of effort, right, it's very hard for us to overcome the resistance. But if we have the understanding of what this dissatisfaction is, this vision, and these first steps, then we can overcome resistance. So then what does that mean when it comes to resales and referrals? What we've got over here is we've got the value proposition, right? If we have enough value on our side, then we can overcome resistance. So when you're trying to sell something, or you want somebody to buy something, right, the product or service that you have has to be worth more than the money that's in their pocket, right? So if your car's broken, in your particular case, because you're a car shop, right, if your car's broken, I might have to spend $500 or something to get it fixed, right, because I want my car back, and having my car back is worth more than $500, and that's why I would send it to you, and you could do that. Well, when it comes to a resale or something like that, then we have to create something that adds value, something that gets more for them than the money that's in their particular pocket, right? And sometimes we can provide a discount, or we can provide extra service. A lot of this extra service, great customer service stuff is really one of the keys to getting people to come back in again and again and again into your particular shop, right? So, and when it comes to referrals, right? Why would people ever give anybody a referral, right? Why would that make some sense? Well, the reality is that you could provide a referral, right? And if you provide a referral, they might provide a referral. So if you knew what business they were in and what they needed and what they wanted, then you could help them, right? Now, maybe it's not their business. Maybe it's anything else that they want. Maybe they need a flower shop. Maybe they need a sandwich shop. But you're generating a relationship, and you're providing information and value to them, and they may then provide value back to you, right? Now, there's a certain degree of satisfaction that a person has when they refer a high-quality company to a friend or an acquaintance, because then that friend or that acquaintance values the relationship even more. So we're actually transitioning that value to the friend or the acquaintance, right, instead of just from you. So understand that this model is in place all day, every day, and when it comes to referrals and resales, we're going to take a look at one other slide, and it's actually not a slide, I'm going to do a drawing, but it's Robert Cialdini's Persuasion, the Art of Influence. He wrote a book called Persuasion, the Art of Influence. And when we talk about persuasion, this is the things that we're going to do. How do we present the value proposition that somebody would want to do something for us, right? Something that we've actually asked for. So the first thing is, we call this the pillars of persuasion, is reciprocation, right? Since the beginning of time, reciprocation has been something that's been valued between more than one person on the planet, right? It goes back to, would you watch my stuff, right, while I'm gone? And the implied connection there is that I watch your stuff now, and you'll watch my stuff when I need it, right? You'll take care of me. So reciprocation plays a big role, and often in reciprocation here, when it comes to resales and referrals, when we're offering something special, then they'll come back and offer us something as well, right? Kind of an interesting strategy and philosophy, and it works a lot easier, obviously, on low-value items. So a resale itself isn't necessarily expensive. It might be for some small purse, or it might not be that expensive. So when we offer something in the beginning, we'll often get something that comes back to us in return. So the second thing is, and this one plays a big role in referrals and resales, is commitment and consistency, right? Now, in this particular case, what it has to do with people when they make a commitment, right? There's a lot of energy and effort that goes into making a commitment, into making a decision. But once we've done that, we become committed to that commitment, right? And we have to be consistent. It takes a lot for us to want to change, right? Because that would mean that we would have to defeat all of the logic that we ran into previously, right? And so what happens if we can get a small commitment from somebody, because of this consistency model, they'll look to give us additional commitments, right? Because it validates their initial thinking, it validates their initial behavior, their initial decision-making process, right? And in addition, when they can use this consistency component as a part of that referral process, because they can then go tell their friends and their acquaintances how valuable their ideas, decisions, logic, and decision-making was in identifying this particular commitment, right? So this is just a natural practice that people have in play to help them literally stop having to sift through thousands of different ideas and information every time a decision has to be made. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So the third thing, and this one is again really, really important, and I think the key to this is we're going to use, there's 6 of these, right? We're going to use all of these all the time. And so then we'll talk a little bit after we go through this. We'll talk about how do you go about that, right? How do you instantly begin understanding and using 6 new strategies for referrals and resales, right? Because this is all brand new. I mean, how are you going to put this into your vocabulary? How are you going to put this into your discussion? How are you going to add these kinds of things into your key? But we'll talk about that before we get finished. So the third one has to do with social proof, right? Now, in a way, it ties in very closely with commitment and consistency, right? Because if somebody else liked it, right, then you might like it, right? So social proof is, a testimony, right? And a referral is, in a sense, a testimony. A referral is a testimonial to some degree, right? And in 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we didn't have social media. And social proof was only word of mouth, right? And so BNI, the group that we're in, was even more valuable then. But now social proof comes in many, many ways, right? You can get recommendations, you get testimonials. We have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have Twitter, we have Pinterest, we have Google+, we have all these different places where we can capture and demonstrate social proof, right? And we have to do that. You need to start doing that kind of stuff. And people ask me, why do I have to do social media? Well, that's exactly it, right? If you're trying to grow your business, if you don't care about growing your business, I don't know if that's really important, right? But if you're trying to grow your business in today's day and age, then social proof is totally important and valuable. It's been proven over history, right? Now you have to use social media to help get there. All right, so the fourth item is, and this is really interesting, is likability, right? I don't care how good you are, or how smart you are, or how fast you are, right? If you're not likable, right, it makes it very difficult to persuade somebody to do something for you. It just doesn't happen, right? But how can we be likable? Well, hey, we can offer something, for somebody else to do something. We can offer a free gift or a free service or a discounted oil change or, any number of different things that we can do there, right? We can offer to help somebody solve some other problem, not necessarily an automotive problem in your particular case, but any other problem. You have B&I, you have 23 people in B&I, 25 soon, and any one of those people is willing to help your customers if your customers need that. So if you get to know your customer and they need something and you offer to help them, not necessarily at a financial goal for you, but you have the opportunity to help them, what are we doing? We're adding some reciprocation and we're increasing our likability factor. Okay, so the fifth one, right? The fifth one is called authority. Right? So if you are the person in charge, you can demand that they do something. Like you can tell your employee you have to do something, right? That's one way you can. It's sort of a forcible persuasion. Doesn't work very well in resales and referrals, though, right? Because they don't work for us, right? But if we are the authority, if we know more, if we're more knowledgeable, if we're bigger, better, faster, then we can explain that this is what we know, and we have these tools, and we have this equipment, and that's why this product needs to be serviced every 6 months, or this, that, or the other thing. So we can continue to expand our authority from an excellence and a skill set standpoint. And then the last one that's on this list is a thing called scarcity, right? So when there's fewer or less of something, people want it more, right? The funny thing is, in the study, and this is a great book, it's Persuasion, the Art of Influence by Robert Cialdini. In this book, they talked about these cookies, right? And so when there was a jar full of cookies, the college students, they ate the cookies. They liked them, right? But when there were only 2 cookies, they wanted them even more. They actually measured how much the desire went up based on the cookies, right? So just because there were less cookies, the desire went up, so people wanted it more. Pretty interesting stuff. The reality is, though, that the cookies didn't necessarily taste any better, right? It was only the scarcity that did it. And often we see a lot of different sales tactics that drive this particular behavior. There's only one on the lot, right? When we're selling new cars, only one at this price. Those are the things that are helping people from a scarcity standpoint to get back in there. Now, you may do something similar like that. You could say, I have one special a day. I have one of these. I have one of those. I only have 2 of these. And so how could you then employ the scarcity practice in your persuasion techniques? And the key is to employ all of these at all times. All right, so that's a whole bunch of new information, Esther. What do you think?
It's really, they all make sense, and they're all things that I need to improve on in my business. The only thing though I have a question on authority. How do you prove it? How do you prove that you're an authority? Do you just say, people, come into my shop and they say, you're a mechanic, and they kind of respect me for that, and they kind of already know that I know what I'm talking about. But is there anything in particular you recommend to say as far as to be an authority?
Well, so education helps from an authority standpoint. I've been to school, I've been through classes, certifications, registrations, years of experience, number of cars that you've serviced, types of cars that you service, types of projects. All of those things add up to your authority rating, right?
Oh, okay.
Now again, you're young, so you can't have. You don't have 30 years of experience yet. That's just not going to happen, right? So you're going to have to do it through all kinds of other things, right? But you can say, I've been trained, I've been here, I've been there, I've done that, I've got this certification. All of those things, I've got all the tools, I've got all the recommended products. I know how to use all of these. That's where you're going to help to demonstrate your authority position, your expertise.
Okay. So we try to demonstrate it.
So that's a great thing, right? So we just made that list up, and what you could do at this point is you could go right down. That would be one of the first steps, right? Would be to go right down all of those things, right? That fit into the authority deal, right? And then you could create a poster in the shop that lists all of those reasons why you're there, right? That would be helpful for you to remember, right? So you could look at the poster when you're talking to somebody, and you could share what it is that's on the poster, right? It would help your employees to remember, because getting them to be able to say the message as well is also very, very helpful, right? I might not be the smartest guy, but Nestor is, or I may not have all the certifications, but Nestor does, or somebody else in the shop does, or this piece of equipment does this. There's all kinds of things that we could put into that, so it would help us to train that particular person. And then clearly, just our customer or our prospect might read that list for itself. So that's one way that I think you could, instantly start to make a difference from an authority perspective on the 6 pillars of persuasion.
Awesome. Yeah, because I mean, like when people walk into the shop, they see me, I'm really young, they think I'm just like the apprentice, when I'm actually the one completely diagnosing and fixing their car. So I have a problem with authority sometimes just because I don't look the part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch cameras so I can sit down and I don't have to. I can actually look at you, and because otherwise I have to look at the camera and there's nobody there. So once I do that, then there we go. And so I'll sit off to the side here, and we can still see the list.
Yeah.
All right. So then let's talk about. So how would you go about building a plan or a strategy to begin to use all of those?
The first thing I would do is figure out which ones I'm lacking in. So I wrote down all the ones that are there, and then I put next to it which one I would need to improve on. Because I mean, I'm really good at social proof. I'm on Yelp. I'm on all the social medias. I have every recommendation, so I'm good on that. Commitment and consistency. I'm pretty good at that also. I make sure that people commit to appointments, and I make sure that I get their information. So when they need service, I contact them and they come back. Reciprocation, I always go above and beyond. All that stuff I already got pretty much a good dial on all of those. But the only things that I was missing was authority and then scarcity. Scarcity was the other thing, because there's tons of mechanics, so I'm trying to think of ways to become a more scarce mechanic. So one thing that popped in my head was, well, there's a scarcity of good mechanics and mechanics that are actually really good at what they do and can fix your car the first time. So I'm trying to tie that in. So what I'm trying to do is figure out what I'm weak at on these 6 points and try to improve on those, and then work on the other ones when I already have, the ones that I need work on dialed in.
Well, what about? I mean, is there any product or service offerings that you could add to your toolbox that would help demonstrate a scarcity mindset?
The one thing I do that actually works with that is I do free diagnostics, which a lot of mechanics don't do because they charge a lot of money, like around $100 an hour, to figure out what's wrong with the car. Most of the time when people come in for a free diagnosing of either AC or electrical or check engine light, then I'm able to diagnose it, and they always tell me, wow, nobody else does this. Most of the time they get it fixed. So that's one thing that I do for scarcity.
Well, if you offer it to everybody, it's not very scarce.
Okay, that's true. Okay. Maybe like send out an email to 1 or 2 of my customers saying, hey, you got chosen for a free vehicle inspection.
5 free ones a day, 2 free a day. Pass this on to your friends and neighbors. I mean, because we're creating a scarcity model. Because it's not scarce if it's anybody and everybody that comes in gets the opportunity.
That's a good idea. Like on Facebook or something. Hey, we only have 2 spots available for a free vehicle inspection or brake service or something. And then
it also helps to stimulate urgency, right? Go now, right? Because they're going to run out.
That's a good idea.
Right, urgency is one of the key components of the sales activity, right? We want you to come in and buy our products and services, and clearly, our first objective is to provide excellent products and services. So this is a manipulative. We want you to come in, but we want you to come in today. right? We don't want you to come in next week or next month or next year. Come in today. Take advantage of our free offer, limited time only, limited number, etc. So let's talk about commitment and consistency for just a minute, because I think you do a lot of that. But I want to take the focus on that and say, okay, now how do you use that for referrals?
Um, as far as being nice, or in my business.
So we know that our prospect or our customer, right, is connected with this commitment and consistency model, right?
Yeah.
Well, what
Yeah.
we want that customer to do is to tell his friends and acquaintances that he recommends us, right? That
Yeah.
they should come in to see us for, and again, you'll take all the major overhauls and everything else, but it's the day-to-day service work, right? Because cars need repeat service that's going to be the bread and butter for your business.
Yeah.
So how can we take that? So what we want to do is we want to make it we want to make it such that our customer, so it's as easy as possible for him to tell his friends about his commitment, right? His commitment is that he came to see you,
Yeah.
right? So how do we make it as easy as possible for him to do that? We know that he's going to be consistent, he's going to defend it, but we still need to present something that adds value to him. How do we do that for him?
One thing that we do for commitment and actually social proof kind of is we have, when a customer comes in, we offer a 10% discount if they check in on Facebook, Google Plus, or on Yelp. So anytime they check in that they're here and they post that they're here getting their car worked on, it shows that they're consistent with coming in to see us for maintenance, but it also makes them committed because they kind of posted it on their Facebook page.
So their friends see that they're using your products and services.
Yeah. So, and then that kind of ties into the whole social proof, how they're being validated for their ideas and then their decisions to come to me. So,
Right.
and then it's super easy to do that too. All they do is get on their phone, their Facebook, and they check in, click one button, and then
But what if
it's
they're not
out.
Facebook, or what if they don't do that?
Well, if they don't do that, it's rare when I meet somebody that doesn't.
Come on, you don't have any old customers?
I have
That's
a few.
not fair. That's not fair.
I have a few, but I haven't really ran into that. But if social media wasn't around, then
Well, what else could you do, though? That's the point. The question is, what else could you do? Facebook's good concept, good strategy, right? It's not quite as strong as if I go to my neighbor and I say, man, you have got to go to Nestor to get your car taken care of. Right? That's a very strong referral.
One thing is maybe say, hey, we'll give you and whoever you referred a 25% discount, or if you tell them about me.
Right. So any of your friends that come in, they tell me they got the referral from you, they get a 25% discount, and you'll get a 25% discount, or whatever number you pick. I'm not telling you which one to do, right? But now we're offering a really nice gift, right? For them to tell their friends that this is the right place, right? And then we're extending that gift to their friends, right? And so how are their friends going to feel about them when they receive that gift? They're going to go, thank you, right? And so we're going to build that relationship. So not only are we giving them a gift of 25% off, but we're giving them a gift of a better relationship with their friends, because they can go to their friends and say, hey, man, here's this 25% off coupon for you, right? If somebody gives you a gift like that, you say thank you. You appreciate it, right? And so the relationship grows. And so there's a way that we could do that. Now, the other thing you're asking yourself is, spontaneously, when is that going to happen, right? Is there any way that we can create any more urgency around that activity, right? So this referral that we want, right? We don't want it a year from now. We want it right now.
So we could say something like, make sure you tell them this coupon expires in the end of the month or something.
Right. I was just I got an email this week from a friend from Hurley. Right, Hurley had their friends and family outlet sale, and it was really come down today, Saturday. Come down today for the best deals. Right. That created some urgency. Right. If you don't go down today, you don't get those deals.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely.
So in terms of resales, right? And again, what are we going to do? We're going to offer some great value, right? For them to come back in, right? Existing customers, what are the kinds of things that we want to do? But not only just come back in, but come back in frequently, right? So
Yeah.
in the food service world, the way they get people to come back in more frequently is they use the coupon card, right? Where you get a little punch card, buy 10 get one free. That's how they create some consistency with their customers coming back then, right? Because if I go somewhere else, I don't get punched, right? So they're trying to create this consistency to come back here, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So there's a whole variety of different things that we might do there. So the punch card, and then in order to get people to come back again, we talked about coupons and discounts and things like that. With Mercedes-Benz and Fletcher Jones up here, they offer the putting service and the cappuccino machine, and they're just creating this really nice environment. They're trying to, that's one of their ways to try and get you to come back a little more frequently, and to make sure that you take your car to them instead of somebody else. Now, all of this stuff, is new information, and you'll do all of it, but the key is, what are you going to do first? So out of this information, right, and so we've got some good information, good knowledge, good discussion. What are the 3 things you're going to do right away?
First off, I'm gonna build a little bit more scarcity in my service. Next thing is authority. I'm gonna definitely try to be more of an authority right up front. I want to do a lot more informational how-to videos on my website, more blog posts. I'm writing an ebook right now on the things you should do before you go on a road trip, and that's going to be given out to free to anybody that goes on my website and wants to download it. So all that stuff I think will make me a better authority. But as far as people coming into the shop, I'm going to put all my certifications up on the walls because I haven't even done that. I'm going to make sure that I have all the equipment on that list like we talked about, and kind of give more information to people, letting them know what I use, because the equipment that I use is really expensive and really high end, and the reason why I have this equipment is to make sure that I diagnose cars correctly. You know what I mean? So I'm going to make sure that I'm an authority figure right up front. And the last one is the commitment. How am I going to, and then commitment and consistency for my customers is I'm going to make sure that my customers refer me a little bit better and more. So that idea that you told me, hey, give this, go down to see Nestor, he's giving you a 25% discount, tell him I sent you. So I'm going to try those ideas and try to work on those 3 things first before I get to the rest of them.
Well, and we know that, there's way too many things to do, right? We can do new things all day. We'll never get anything done.
Yeah.
So in this case, the next question that comes from my perspective is, when are you going to start doing that stuff?
ASAP.
ASAP, so right away.
Right away, yes. I work at every night. I work on things, so I'm definitely I'm gonna try to focus more.
You can't work 8 hours a day on that stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely you work on it every day. You want to be likable. You want to be sure that you reciprocate to people that come in. Make sure you give them their full dollar's worth and a little bit more. you do all these things all day, but as far as what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna focus more on these 6 things because they're all really relevant to what I do.
Okay, so how much time can you spend each day working on stuff like this?
Um, Realistically, probably like an hour, 2 hours
Yeah,
most.
well, I think an hour. I mean, again, an hour a day, 5, 6, 7 hours a week, you'll get there. You'll be able to make differences. You'll make a change in your business. And when I don't know if we did the 1% rule the last time we were together or not, but we can do that another time, and I can show you the difference. I mean, the 1% rule is if you continue to make constant incremental improvements, then they all stack on top of each other, and ultimately you get this hockey stick movement. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
so working on it an hour a day, right? Now you're pretty good, I think, at holding yourself accountable, right? But if you weren't very good at holding yourself accountable, because we give ourselves a free pass, right? Tonight the World Series is on, right? So I'd like to watch the World Series. I don't want to go spend an hour working on this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, how do you make yourself stay there? How do you stay on task?
I mean, honestly, John, I feel really guilty on the days that I don't work. I feel guilty. Like I don't feel like I've done enough, and I feel very I don't know. I don't want to say shame. Like I don't have shame, but it's kind of like, man, I should be doing something. I should be doing something to grow my business. But if I wasn't like that, I would make a list of the things that I need to do. So this list, um, like the authority things we talked about, make a list, write them down, and then first thing I would do is make a to-do list and then try to stick to it. That's the one way when I was really young, I was kind of lazy. So the one thing that really did help me was making lists and kind of just marking them off day by day, and that kind of built the habits of kind of being productive. So the first thing I would do is write down the most important thing, like authority, write down the things I need to do, and then start marking them off.
So one of the things you could do that I tell people is you know again, if it's just you, right, then people have a tendency to give themselves a free pass, right? I'm tired. I want to watch the ball game. I mean, this is natural human behavior. You don't get to avoid it. Some people are better at it than others, but it's there. And so, from an accountability standpoint, one of the best things you can do is tell somebody else what you've said you're going to do. When it comes time to quit smoking, and I did this back in 2000, I read an article that said, tell somebody else that you're going to quit, right? So I told my wife. Um, it made me much more accountable, right? Taking that, you know, not taking that step when I said I was going to do it, it became much more difficult because I had told somebody else. It wasn't just me, right? I couldn't just give myself a free pass. The same thing has to do with your work and your business. Tell people, tell somebody, a partner. You can tell a coach if you want. Send that information to me, and then we'll talk next week, and I'll ask you how you did it. But I mean, this way you're gonna. It's a way of helping to hold yourself accountable, right? Is to get other people to help. There are other people in BNI and other people in our group that maybe would be very effective at that as well. And you'll find that you get a heck of a lot more accomplished, right? Because it's just harder to say to somebody else, I didn't have time, I didn't feel good, I wanted to watch. Yeah, those excuses don't work for everybody else. They only work for us.
That's true.
All right.
No, go ahead.
Well, good work. I mean, I think this is, I think, we started out to talk about, resales and referrals and what's going on and how this stuff fits in and how Gleiser's formula works in from a value proposition and understanding that we're trying to overcome resistance to change. Um, in terms of the value on this particular half an hour that you've spent, right? Um, you could either, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm just looking to see, does this make sense to continue on with others? Was this valuable for your half an hour?
Yeah, definitely. Um, I was reading somewhere that I mean, I I think everybody knows the things that they have to do to get referrals and do things that we talked about. But it's always good to have them in the front of your mind. Sometimes when I'm so busy and I'm working on this, I'm working on that, I have to call this person. All this stuff kind of goes to the back of my head, and I don't really think about it. It's like I don't even care about it. You know what I mean? So it's always good to kind of refresh my memory and kind of refocus myself and say, okay, this is what I have to do. It's always in the front of my head. So I always kind of think about it whenever I'm doing something. So, I get a lot of really good ideas from what we talk about and the things you tell me. And also, it kind of keeps things freshly in my head and in the front of my head to make sure that I include them in all my projects that I'm doing. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, half an hour.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how valuable do you think?
I think it's like a 10.
Okay.
I mean, I think everybody needs to know these things.
You would certainly recommend this to others.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Any business owner, I mean, needs to know these things. They need to know what they have to do to get customers to come back, to make sure that they're likable, make sure that they're authority. Everybody that has a business needs to know these things. Even if you're not a business, I think these are things you need to know to kind of be a good citizen. Not even a good citizen, but kind of just present yourself in a better way. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. I tell people you're in a sales environment all day, every day, right?
Yeah.
If you're just talking to your wife and you're trying to figure out where to go for dinner, right? It's like I want to go here, and how do you make that happen, right? Maybe you have authority and you get to say it's your turn to pick, right? But a lot of times we don't, right? Say let's go to my place and we'll go to your place next time, right? We use reciprocation. These things come into play all the time, whether you're at work or you're at home or you're just trying to get your kids to do the dishes. It's just part of the package. Well, listen, I really appreciate the time. I thought this was fun. I got to learn some things. I'm going to go ahead and this video will be ready for you in a little bit in its raw content. I'm going to put a front end and a back end on it. We may do a little editing, and I'd like to get your comments on that. And then, are we connected on LinkedIn?
I'm not on, like, I have a LinkedIn account, but I'm not really active on it, so I have to get active on it. So once I don't think we are.
Go to your LinkedIn account and send me a connection request so that we can get connected. I do a lot of social media work on LinkedIn, and then you can also send me a potentially put together a recommendation or a testimonial based on the time that we spent today.
Yeah, definitely. More than happy to do it. So this is just a raw copy, right?
Yep.
So it'll be like more clear and everything.
I'm going to send it to you as soon as we're done, and you'll be able to speed through it. Because we covered a lot of stuff, and if you wanted to go back and look at something that we covered before, you certainly could.
Yeah.
And then what I would typically do is I might go edit it. I put a front end on it that says something about BusinessWhitt. I'll put a back end on it that says contact me at this area here. But I'll run it by you and make sure you're comfortable. I won't use it for anything unless you're comfortable with it.
Oh no, I mean I'm fine with that. You have my full permission. The only thing is just I wanted to be sure that you could see yourself kind of be so you kind of know where to stand a little bit better next time, and you know what I mean, like the whole dry erase board. I couldn't really see it, so I don't know if you could see it the way I'm seeing it now.
Well, I can see some things now, but when I run through the video, I may cut those sections out.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? 'Cause if they don't add value, and if we can communicate some good information and some knowledge to somebody in 15 minutes, I think we're adding a lot of value.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because 15 minutes is really nothing.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Nestor,
definitely.
I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
No problem. I'll see you later.
I will see you at the meeting here in a little bit. Take care. Bye.
Bye.